Here, and today I am doing a little live stream to compare conventional diets versus the Delish Diet, which is the approach that I used to lose 12 dress sizes about 6 years ago. When I was 36 years old, I literally found myself what felt like overnight having gained over 20 pounds. And at this point in my life, I was about, I would say, I was in what was considered the overweight category, but I was very comfortable with that weight. I'd kind of settled on the idea that I would, keep that extra weight after having babies for the rest of my life, and I was okay with it. But when I suddenly pushed the scales to 176 on my 5 foot, technically 3 3/4 inch frame, at 176 pounds, I was actually considered obese by the BMI standards, okay? So that was a time in my life where I was struggling a lot with some emotional issues, feeling disconnected, not feeling fulfilled, and really this had to do with my relationship, not necessarily to do with my life purpose or anything like that. Luckily, I've always had that. I was really lucky and fortunate to have discovered my passion in life at a very young age. So now what happens in those kind of situations is when you have your passion in life and you have a lot of interests, but things aren't really going well in your primary relationship, you turn to workaholism, right? Because that's where you can get significance and feel fulfilled. And here comes Daisy. This is Daisy. She always wants to say hi when I'm on a live stream. I do not know why. But anyways, she needs to be here. So you do, don't you? So anyways, without getting too much into that emotional stuff, if you're interested in learning more about the emotional side of weight loss, I actually have a group. It's called the Weightless Group. And I'll post it later in the comments, but it's basically a free group that's associated with my Facebook page where I go more into all of that stuff that actually contributes to weight gain because of the impact of chronic stress on our cortisol, which stimulates insulin, our fat storage hormones. So you can actually have weight gain due to stress, which is one of the bigger triggers for my weight gain when I was in my mid-30s. So here I am now, 42 years old. And I lost those 12 dress sizes over the past 6 years. I don't think people realize that it actually took a lot of time. I didn't focus on weight loss as an ultimate goal in terms of short-term gain. Okay, my short-term gains were that I was basically eating more decadent than ever, feeling way better, and losing weight in a more sustainable pace. And that's one of the benefits of the Delish Diet that is also kind of a drawback because most people really would like to be able to snap their fingers and lose weight quickly. And of course you can do that. And you've seen people do that. But of course, whatever they did to do that, they can't maintain. Yeah, I know, they can't maintain it. Those poor people. And so what happens is they gain the weight back, right? So this approach that I took was a sustainable approach. And the beauty of it is when you do it at that pace and you're doing it from a healthy perspective, you maintain the weight loss, right? Because you've actually changed your physiology and your body on the inside. Oh my God, you keep looking at me. That's so adorable. So anyways, I wanted to share today how the approach that I took to lose the 12 dress sizes, besides addressing some of the chronic stress in my life, I'm going to be sharing with you more of the specific things that are different about the Delish Diet versus the, conventional diets that you may be familiar with and used to. And at any point while you're watching this, if you have a question, please feel free to stop me, say hi, and ask a question. And same thing if you're watching the replay. I'm happy to come back to this thread and answer any questions that you have. So before I get into the comparison of the Delish Diet versus conventional diets, I just want to share with you that if you're interested in learning more after you listen to this live stream, I have a group coaching program coming up and it starts on Wednesday, and there is an early bird investment that is available right now where you can save $500 off the program. So I will be posting that at the end. And the benefit of doing the group program is that you actually get to learn in community, show up here on your computer in a Zoom chat room with other faces and have the connection, and I'll be teaching it live. And then you get the Q&A after, versus doing the Delish Diet e-course, which is also an option. And I'll post them both below when I'm done for those of you who want to learn more. All right, so I'm literally going to go through a comparison from one side to the next. And so the reason I use the word Daieta is because Daieta is, so in this title, it says why diets don't work and why a Daieta does. So the Daieta is a term that comes from a Greek word, or it is a Greek word, and that's where we got the word diet from, right? So we actually use that word to describe something we do either to heal ourselves, like specific diets for certain, like therapeutic diets for certain problems, or we also use the word diet to describe, you gotta go down now? Something that you do temporarily to lose weight. Are you gonna stay? I don't know. So we've come to, think of that word as describing something that you would do to lose weight. Now, I was toying with calling this program the Delish Dieta. Now, I decided not to do that because, from a marketing perspective, it's not very smart. You don't want people to have to decode what you offer. So I didn't use it, but I like to refer to it as much as I possibly can because it actually describes what the Delish Diet is. It is not a diet in the sense of the word that we created to mean something to do with losing weight, but a dieta, which the word diet is from, actually describes what you eat and your lifestyle, nothing to do with weight loss. My intention with the Delish Diet is to show you how to live a diet and lifestyle, a dieta, that is naturally going to allow you to be your optimal natural weight without having to make a big deal out of it or think about it a lot. That's one of the troubles with the idea of a diet, is that for most people, it requires a lot of things like counting. Okay, so that's the first thing on the list here. So most diets require you to count, measure, and track, carbs, fats, and protein. And this is not really a natural way of eating like human beings. Well, we didn't even know that vitamins existed till 1911. So before that, we were probably also not tracking our food macronutrients, our protein, fat, and carbohydrate. That is something, a modern construct that we've created. Not natural, not easy, and not sustainable. So people don't do it for the long term. If they do, they become very neurotic about it, and it usually turns into some sort of eating disorder. So we don't do that on the Delish Diet. Our focus is to really go back to a natural lifestyle that allows you to attain health, with the natural good side effect of that being your natural weight that you're meant to be. So with the Delish Diet, we don't count anything, okay? There are some guidelines, and I will share them as we go along here. I'm going to try to give you as specific examples as I can as we go through this, just so that you can actually take away something from this, not just the philosophy, but some action. Do you want to go now? Yeah, you go now. So we don't want to have to be a mathematician to be able to maintain or to achieve our ideal weight or to maintain it. We want it to be simple. So think about it this way. There's some friends that if you're overweight and you're watching this, you probably have some friends that are of a normal weight and they don't seem to struggle with it. And they're certainly not counting what they eat in terms of carbs, fat, or protein, right? They're just not doing it. If that's what it required, then to be your optimal weight, then how come there's all these people who are of normal weight and don't do any of those things and they don't obsess about it? Obviously, that's not what is required. And of course, people who do obsess about those things are people generally that still maintain this problem of being overweight, or if they're not physically overweight on the outside, there's a whole bunch of things going on inside of them that is bordering on obsessive and is really taking over their life. And you may not see it on the outside, but what's going on inside of them is pretty nightmarish for their experience of obsession over counting calories, carbs, protein, fat grams, etc. So we don't want to do that. Obviously, we don't have to do that because people who are naturally skinny don't do that. So what is it that makes somebody naturally skinny and somebody be overweight? It's not really coming down to something, it's not natural for people to be overweight. What it is there's something going on physiologically inside the body that is out of balance, it's out of harmony. And so the way the body's expressing that disharmony is through holding on to excess weight. So it really comes down to looking at how do you eat in a way that brings your body back into harmony. And then once that happens, then your body lets go of the weight. So that's essentially what we're doing with the Delish Diet. We're actually recalibrating your body and bringing you to a state of health. Whereas from the conventional diet perspective, you actually, so if you look at most things that are, ideas about obesity from conventional perspectives, the thought is that being obese or being overweight is unhealthy. So therefore, to get healthy, you have to lose weight. And like as though it doesn't matter how you do that. Like as long as you get skinny, you'll be healthy. Obviously, that's not true. You also know people who are skinny who are not healthy, right? And a lot of those people who you don't even know that they're not healthy. A lot of very thin people have digestive issues, okay? So they're not absorbing nutrition. So it doesn't, just because you're thin doesn't make you healthy, okay? And just because you're overweight doesn't mean like you're super more unhealthy than anyone else. It just means that your imbalance is showing up as weight gain, okay? Some people's imbalance can show up as being actually very thin. So it's not really about that. But when you get to your optimal state of health, you get to your optimal body weight, whether that is lose weight or gain weight. But it doesn't mean that when you're thin, that it equals healthy. So what we're doing with the Delish Diet is not trying to get you thin to get you healthy. The point is for you to get healthy, and we just happen to like the fact that we go to our natural and normal body weight as a good side effect of getting healthy. So let's look at the next thing that's different about conventional diets. The next thing, and this is huge, is counting calories. This is a massive thing. I mean, everybody believes that this is the way that you lose weight. It does not account for what happens inside of the body. Okay, we have hormones, and our body can actually resist losing weight when we restrict calories. And all you have to do is restrict your calories for a long time. Go running and exercise every single day for about 5 days a week, and keep doing that for a long time. And what you'll find is your body will go, no. You will not be losing weight. I talk to people all the time who tell me that they do that approach because that's what they keep being told they should be doing, working out more, restricting their calories more if they want to lose weight. But they embark on these programs and do that to their body and put their body under so much stress of nutritional deficiency and also just being overworked while being nutritionally deficient. And they actually gain weight, even though they're exercising like crazy and they are restricting calories. Okay, why that's happening is because of how their body is responding on the inside. That whole approach, it does work, right? But it only works for a certain amount of time. And for some people, their metabolisms are so damaged, it won't even work in the beginning, right? It'll only work for somebody with a healthy metabolism who's like 25 years old and hasn't been on diets over and over and over again in their life. So that doesn't work. So what we do instead with the Delish Diet program is we don't restrict calories and we don't do all that counting. Okay, what we do is we look at, how do we get our hormones to function optimally so the body has no purpose or reason for holding on to fat? So what we're looking at is the underlying imbalances that would cause somebody to have their body hold on to fat as a way of protecting themselves. I'll give you one example. When people are exposed to toxicity, this is just one example, there's many more, and that would be, for another live stream. So if your liver is toxic, whether it's because you've had digestive issues for a long time and your liver has had to overcompensate for basically improper digestion and it gets sluggish, Or you've been exposed to a lot of chemicals and toxins from your job or just society. I mean, all you have to do is go to a department store, bring something home, and it's going to off gas in your house forever. Or, put some laminate floor in your house. That would be a nice source of invisible toxicity for you to breathe in all the time. These things are beyond our control, some of them, but you have to take control where you do have control. So your liver gets overburdened with these toxins, and it puts these toxins somewhere safe in your body, because if it were to just put them anywhere, if you can't get them out, say for example, you're constipated, okay? These chemicals get recycled. They go back to your liver again because you didn't excrete them, right? So they go back into your bloodstream, they go to your liver. And your liver's like, okay, well, I can't get them out there. Where can I get them out? So, some people it comes out in their skin, and they have skin issues, or, all sorts of different things. It might be deposited in your joints and you get joint pain. Or it can get deposited in your fat cells. Okay. If you put these toxins in your skin, your fat cells, or your joints, that's away from the vital organs, your internal organs. And that's much more safe for you. So if you have a sluggish liver, and you don't heal that imbalance in that organ, then you are going to not be able to lose weight, because your liver is trying to protect you. It doesn't want you to break down those fat cells, because all these toxins are going to come out and it's going to have to deal with them again. And that actually requires nutrition, because your liver functions with nutrients. It has certain nutrients for the chemical detoxification that it does internally. So that would be an example. So we would look at the things that are underlying your body's resistance to weight loss. And that's, individual to each person. We also look at things like, well, which hormones might be out of balance, right? So, some women have excessive estrogen. This will be one of the things that can cause liver toxicity, and, weight gain can be also a side effect of that. There's all sorts of different things that could be happening inside a person's body. And they're all solvable, right? You just have to know what to do and actually do those things. Take your health into your own hands, take control. We also look at, instead of calories, we look at the hormone insulin. Insulin is a fat storage hormone. And if you're eating certain foods all day, ones that have carbohydrates in them, you're going to be constantly stimulating your fat storage hormone, which means you're not going to be burning fat. So what we do actually is balance your blood sugar. So it's not a low carb diet. It's not a ketogenic diet, but it's a very specific carbohydrate diet. And we eat in a certain way that allows you to gain control over your blood sugar. This has such important benefits for the future of your health. And far too many people have the problem of hypoglycemia and have no idea that actually this is like on a spectrum of insulin resistance. Okay, so you don't just, go from having perfect blood sugar to one day being a full-blown diabetic. Most of us are on a scale somewhere. And that is one of the most important things that needs to be addressed for all health issues, but particularly weight loss. And it is going to be, you might be doing this program because you want to lose weight, but actually you're changing the future of your health by addressing these underlying health imbalances that, if they go unchecked and you just keep doing what you're doing and not changing anything, become, diseases that I'm sure you don't want to deal with in the future. So it's very preventative in that sense, health-wise. All right, so the next thing is that with a conventional diet, you have to follow a strict plan, okay? That is not the case with the Delish Diet. The Delish Diet has it's intuitive eating inside of flexible guidelines. So we have a lot of different things in place that support you to get the results, to understand what you need to do to get the results. But there's flexibility inside of it, and there's not all this crazy counting. Okay, it's more like habits that you instill into your life. So one of them would be, for example, when you want to snack in between meals, you would choose something that's higher in fat and not so much protein and carbohydrates. If you had to have protein in between meals, that would be better. Because that's not going to stimulate your insulin and throw your blood sugar off. So it's not like you can't snack in between meals. I just show you how to do it, what to eat that will allow you to stay in fat burning mode, even though you're snacking. Okay, so we have things like that inside of the program. that make it so that you can still get on with your life, right? So that you don't have to feel like you're on this like really strict program and you can't have treats, you can't have snacks. We just really have something for all these different situations that you might find yourself in that you would imagine that, or you would imagine that you couldn't do forever. Like you don't think of a conventional diet as something you'd ever want to do forever, right? But this you can do forever. Like I can't think of one thing that you couldn't find a way to incorporate it into the program. So for example, let me see right now. Let's talk about what I'm drinking right now. I'm drinking some red wine. It's organic. It's yummy. Okay. Technically, we wouldn't think of, wine as a health food. And we wouldn't think of it as something you would want to eat if you wanted to lose weight. But let's just put it into perspective. So number one, this is very dry wine. So it's not going to be stimulating insulin because it's not full of sugar. Now, it has an impact on the liver that will slow weight loss down. Okay, so don't be drinking wine every day if you want to lose weight. Let's just be reasonable. But if you want to have wine once a week while you're on your weight loss journey, that's totally fine. Inside of the Delish Diet program, we have something called an Eat Up Day. The Eat Up Day is amazing for a few reasons. One is because it gives you the freedom once a week to go to a restaurant, go to a family gathering, eat your favorite pasta dish that, you always love to eat. Eat things that are not considered inside of the guidelines of the Delish Diet so that you have freedom, right? So that you don't feel like you're going to be deprived for the rest of your life because you have to eat like a health nut. You do not. This is also protective because it allows you to, or it prevents you from going into ketosis, okay? Because when this diet, the guidelines being specific carbs, they are actually naturally low in carbs. So there is a chance that you could just sort of, if you stopped eating enough vegetables, that you could slip into ketosis if you're just eating a ton of cheese and a lot of meat and all those kinds of things. It's not a good idea because, you basically, when you go into a state of ketosis, you start pissing out all your minerals, and it can have impacts on your thyroid and your endocrine system, slow your metabolism down if you don't do it correctly with supplementation. Most people aren't doing it right, and they're harming themselves. So the Eat Up Day prevents you from going into ketosis, which is really excellent. The third thing, having one Eat Up Day every single week where you eat a lot more carbs or just the things that, you want to go for pizza, it allows you to stimulate a lot of leptin, which is a hormone that satiates you and allows your body to realize no matter what, there is no famine, okay? It stimulates your metabolism. So you just rev it up for a day, and then you can go back to eating inside the Delish Diet guidelines. Now, what you'll find is because the Delish Diet guidelines are so satiating and you're eating more decadently rich than you were eating before you started the diet, it's going to be really easy for you to get back on track. That's the amazing part of it. This is not a program where you are, just imagining you're going to use it till you get to your ideal weight. And then you think, oh, I'm just going to go back to eating the way I was before. No, you might as well not even bother, because if you do that, you're just going to be, at the end of the day, if you do that to get to your ideal weight, you're going to get healthier. But if you just go back to your old way right after that, you're going to reverse and undo the progress that you made. So we include those Eat Up days, and it allows you to, just have that freedom to eat the things that people in modern society like to eat and not feel like you have to be a freak and bring food every single time you go to a family gathering because you eat this perfect diet that you can't sway from, or all hell will break loose and you'll go back, to your old ways. It's not like that. You get actually the practice of being within the Delish Diet guidelines, which support you to attain and maintain your ideal weight. And you have guidelines for how to get to, we actually have a plan for you cheating, okay, and getting back on, because let's face it, that's going to happen, right? So, you don't think of it like, oh, I screwed up today, and so therefore I screwed up the diet, I'm not on it anymore. No, this is a lifestyle. It just means you get back on track with the next meal or the next day. It's, that you have to think long-term here, because this is not a quick fix, and it is not for, just doing till you get the results. You're going to find anyways that when you eat this way, you're just going to prefer it, because not just because you're going to be losing weight and it's more decadent food, but because you actually, when you have balanced blood sugar, oh my God, like before I had balanced blood sugar, I had to have, 3 meals a day plus snacks in between. And I would still have, these moments. I couldn't go for a hike, for example, because if I wasn't prepared for food, I have to turn around halfway through, 30 minutes in, because suddenly I'm I need to eat again, right? It's so annoying, constantly having to think about food. You couldn't skip meals. When you have hypoglycemia, the idea of skipping meals or doing something like intermittent fasting is torture, right? Because you're in a state of imbalance. You can't do what healthy people can do. When a person has now natural blood sugar balance that's healthy, they can actually skip a meal. Do you know what happens when you have healthy balanced blood sugar and you miss a meal? Nothing. Your stomach growls and you feel hungry. That's normal and healthy. It's not a big deal to skip a meal. When you have hypoglycemia, though, you will get angry and hangry and shaky, and then you have to be grabbing either something sweet to get those symptoms away, like the buzzing lips and all that kind of stuff. Or you have to if you want to balance it and actually eat the balancing foods for insulin, like fat and protein, you're gonna have to wait an hour before you feel better. It's not gonna have that instant result that sugar would, right? To bring your blood sugar back up. That is not a fun way to live. Having to constantly be cooking and eating, and oh my God, not fun. This is very liberating, because you're not only do you have that, you can actually experience hunger instead of being hangry, you actually have better energy. So you're not going to be up and down with your energy. So that makes you more productive in your work. It impacts your mood as well, right? So it impacts your relationships, your ability to trust yourself, to be able to follow through on things in life, because you have balanced energy, balanced moods, and you don't have to obsess about eating all the time because your blood sugar is not making you do that. Okay, so those are some major benefits of working with this approach. At the level of root cause, really getting healthy, doing what is required to maintain your weight, but actually be improving your health in the process. Okay, so the next thing is portion control. On the Delish diet, we do not, on a conventional diets, you do that, you do portion control. On the Delish diet, we don't do portion control. The reason why is because most people, when they've come from a long history of dieting, are nutritionally deficient, and their body is kind of making up for lost time. So what I found is, for example, in the beginning, when I first started the program, which at the time wasn't a program, it was just me figuring out what worked and what doesn't work. And I really had to figure this out on my own, because there was nothing like this out there where we actually delved into the real cause of weight gain or the inability to lose weight. That wasn't outside of just, go on a whole foods diet. You could go on a whole foods diet, and if you have insulin resistance, that's not going to work. You're still going to be overweight. Okay, the Delish diet solves that problem because we actually balance your blood sugar. So back to the story of when I first started, I ate a lot of really nutrient-dense, fatty foods, okay, and protein-rich foods, because I had to make up for lost time. I'd been, a vegetarian for 12, 13 years. And it's not that I was trying to restrict fat. It was just that just naturally I wasn't eating a ton of fat, because I was eating a ton of whole grains and things like that. That was what was filling me up. But of course, those meals, you're not satiated, so you have to eat again in an hour. But with changing over to the Delish diet approach, I was more satiated. But one of the things I needed was to feed my hormone system, right? So your hormones are built on proteins and fats. Okay, so in the beginning, you might find that you need to eat a lot of fatty foods. And that's a good kind of fat, natural fats found in animal foods and vegetables and even fruit, right? Like coconut, but not processed foods. So in the beginning, I ate a lot of skinny bombs. Okay, skinny bombs are what I refer to, that it's the name of these treats that come from the ketogenic diet. And I call them skinny bombs because they don't make you fat, they make you skinny, even though they're totally made of fat. what they do is satiate you and give you something to eat in between meals while your body is learning and getting back into balance so that you get the sweet, rich, creamy comfort foods you love, and get that satisfaction and start feeding your glands, your endocrine system, right? What balances your metabolism? Your thyroid gland. What is that? It's an endocrine organ, produces thyroid hormones, balances your metabolism. If your adrenals and your thyroid are out of balance, you're going to have a sluggish metabolism. You're going to have a lot of stress. It's going to make it really difficult for you to actually lose weight. So in the beginning, that's what my body required. So I ate a lot of them, right? Like I would eat tons. I don't know. I didn't count them. I just ate till my body told me I was done. They had no sugar in them. Okay. They were sweetened with erythritol, which is fermented sugar, and stevia. Now they have something called monk fruit for those of you who don't do well with erythritol. Sometimes with erythritol, if people have corn allergies, they'll have a problem with that. Obviously, if you have a corn allergy, do not use erythritol, because almost every single company that makes erythritol uses corn, okay? Corn sugar as the base. So they ferment it, just like things like kefir, kombucha. When you add that beneficial bacteria, it breaks down that sugar, it leaves a sweet taste behind, but you get the sweet taste, but you don't get the impact on your blood sugar or the calories, right? So that's what erythritol is. There is one brand called Organic Zero that primarily uses cane sugar, but even when they run out, they'll use corn sugar. So for people that have either gut issues, because I notice that people with digestive issues sometimes have a weird sensation with the erythritol, you can do monk fruit as an alternative. So stevia or monk fruit. So basically I was eating these skinny bombs. They were high in fat, no sugar, but they tasted sweet, rich, and creamy. So I got to have my treats while I was in the process of rebuilding my fat stores and nourishing my hormones back to optimal health and not feeling deprived at all. So in the beginning, you might feel like compelled to eat a lot because your body is making up for lost time, whether that's it needs more fats or it needs more minerals, just nutrition altogether. So again, because our point here is to get healthy first, then weight loss is a natural side effect of that. So you will eat till you're full of the foods within the guidelines that I share with you inside the Delish Diet. Okay, so they are basically you have to learn them at first, but then it becomes intuitive. You just know it. You don't have to be counting anything. You don't have to be referring to your notes. It just becomes obvious very quickly. So it's very intuitive and flexible, unlike conventional diets, which you have to follow a strict plan if you want to get results, and you have to keep following that very strict plan to maintain those results. And the people that formulate these diets are really not formulating a lifestyle program for you. It's designed to get you results in a certain amount of time, but not to show you how to maintain those results. Okay, so the next one is with conventional diets, you're hungry. Okay, you are not going to be hungry on the Delish Diet. There is so many foods, and because it emphasizes good quality proteins and good quality fats, that is what satiates you. If you don't get enough fat in your diet, you're not going to be satiated. Okay, just a sec. So by the way, what I'm drinking here is an electrolyte drink, although it does look like juice or Kool-Aid, sweetened with stevia. And I'm drinking this because I personally have a tendency to not drink enough water. And I feel like more inspired to drink water when there's minerals in it. However, I'm also drinking some wine. Okay, so these are things you can do because this is a lifestyle approach. If you have trouble drinking alcohol and you get hangovers really easily, you likely have a deficiency of minerals. So that's something that I've experienced. I just don't tolerate alcohol that well unless I am well hydrated and I have enough electrolytes. So I drink these together, okay? So, and that's gonna help your liver because your liver needs magnesium for detoxification. So again, we look at not being purists on the Delish Diet. We look at how to do the best that we can. Also inside a lifestyle where there's some fun, right? Like if it's not fun, it's not pleasurable, then you're not going to do it forever. Okay. So, we don't have to be like, we don't have to act like we're sick people. Okay, sick people need to eat very specific diets because they're, in one extreme of ill health, and they have to eat extreme health to bring themselves back into some sort of, state of balanced health. But if we're not in those states, we don't need to act like a sick person. You don't have to be a purist, okay, to be also health conscious. So actually the Delish diet is for people that sort of are a little bit of a rebel at heart, and you want to, be able to eat healthy, but also explore those foods that are pleasurable and have them fit into your diet without you having to, backtrack and go so off track that you're eating junk food all the time, right? It's, there's just always a way to, handle every single thing that might come up for you inside of the Delish diet. There's just so many ways of being flexible based on what you prioritize. I did not personally prioritize speed when it came to weight loss. Okay. If you want speed with weight loss, we've got that too. We do that with a cleanse inside the Delish diet, but you don't have to do the cleanse. You can start with maintenance and get to your ideal weight in a slower pace. And the beauty of that is your body gets used to all these new set points. So it's very hard to go back and gain that weight because your body's different. Whereas if you force that weight off really quickly, in a way that's not healthy for you, the minute you stop doing those things, and then because you've been starving and deprived and you start binging on crap food, you just gain all that, right? So we are not hungry on this diet. You can eat things that are everything that you probably think you can't have on a diet, you can eat in this program. And, I love it when people ask me to tell them, like, what can I eat instead of, this certain thing? For example, right now inside the Delish Diet program, we're making a little cookbooklet of things for people who are chip addicts, who just want to eat chips. Okay, so we're making a little cookbooklet for alternatives for that. And believe me, there are. And on the other side of it, we don't just give people, those recipes, but we also look at their nutrient deficiencies, because if you're lacking minerals and you're lacking essential fatty acids, guess what? You're going to want to have chips all the time and you're not going to be able to stop yourself. So in the meantime, we give you these recipes, okay, that give you that chip-like experience and get you on the mineral supplements and the essential fatty acid supplements and shift your diet so that you're eventually getting it from your diet and not having to rely on the supplements. And then suddenly the cravings are gone and we don't have to fight with willpower against them. Again, because we're going down into the root causes of people's inability to lose weight. All right, let's go to the next one, low fat. Okay, so most diets are low fat. That is like a recipe for craving sugar and carbohydrates, which is why they don't work in the long term. The Delish diet, we favor fat. Okay, so again, I'm not telling you how much fat to eat. This is like, for example, the ketogenic diet, you would need to get 70% of your calories as fat. That's not what I'm saying. You could, it's not gonna be a bad thing, but you don't need to do that. You don't actually need to go on a ketogenic diet to lose weight, and you don't need to eat a certain amount of fat. You just follow your body's longings for fat, and you don't avoid fat. And you eat fat to balance and satiate and ground you. So once you get into eating this way, because you're bringing balance to your body, you just naturally things even out. Like I mentioned earlier, and you might eat a ton of skinny bombs at the beginning of the program, and then later you're like, nah, I don't even have any skinny bombs made right now in my fridge. Whereas when I first started, I always had to have them around, because if I didn't, then I'd want to have something with carbs in them, like chips or chocolate cake or, something like that. Mostly chocolate. Not really like a candy person or anything like that, but my weakness would be chocolate and, cheesecake. But these are things that you can actually make on the Delish diet and help yourself to lose weight while eating them. Because again, this is really about bringing your body back into balance with proper nutrition. So let's look at something like a cheesecake. Okay, so you might think to yourself, well, I can't eat cheesecake and expect to lose weight because there's so much fat in there. No. The problem with cheesecake when it's causing you to gain weight is not that it has fat in it. The problem is it has sugar in it. Okay, sugar, it just makes you crave more sugar, right? And then it stimulates insulin, which is a fat storage hormone. So how do we make cheesecake so that it doesn't stimulate insulin, so you can eat cheesecake in moderation and still be able to maintain your weight or continue to lose it? Well, first of all, you make that cheesecake with the best quality ingredients you possibly can. So now you think of it, oh, it's just dessert, but actually it could be breakfast. Okay, we have a couple recipes for cheesecake in the Delish Diet program. And you can just, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do, and you can go convert your favorite cheesecake recipe. Okay, so basically use goat cheese, soft goat cheese instead of cream cheese, because soft goat cheese, number one, goat dairy is less building than cow dairy. And it's usually of better quality, and it's not processed, right? So here we got our goat cheese instead of our cow cheese or our cream cheese in the cheesecake. And then instead of sweetening it with sugar, you're going to sweeten it with either erythritol stevia or monk fruit extract. Now you have something that is not going to stimulate much insulin. Okay, so you're actually going to be satiated by it. Instead of feeling like you have to eat the whole cheesecake at once, you're like, wow, that was satisfying, because you actually got the fat and you didn't get the sugar spike. So your body just responds like that was food. Now, if you make it chocolate cheesecake, that's even better, because chocolate is the fourth most nutrient dense food on the planet. Chocolate is not bad for you. It's what people put in the chocolate. So go for it. Make your cheesecake. Now we talk about the base. The base of the cheesecake, you don't want it to be wheat. Okay, wheat is, it has some problems with it. One is that if it's not organic, it's been sprayed with glyphosate, which is, a perfect recipe for destroying your gut. And it's higher carb. So what we do in the Delish Diet program is we use coconut flour or almond flour. So you're going to have to make a different kind of base for your cheesecake, or ground nuts, right? You can use like macadamia nuts or something like that, or pecan or walnuts in your cheesecake. There you go. You just made cheesecake. As far as I'm concerned, you can have it for breakfast, because you just put super nutrient dense foods in there. And you did not put sugar in it. So just because it's cheesecake doesn't mean it's bad for you. It's what you use to make the cheesecake. So that's an example of the kind of thing that we do inside the Delish Diet program with pretty much any food that you can think of. All right, the next part. I'm really excited about this, right? Because this has like liberated me in my life in so many ways. I literally can eat the foods that I desire. I just change them to be the right ingredients that don't stimulate insulin. So I can continue to lose weight if I need to, or I can maintain my weight without giving up the fun foods. Okay, so we're past that, the low fat. We don't do that on this program. So the other thing is, with a conventional diet, people tend to feel deprived. Whereas on the Delish Diet, there's lots of variety. You're going to actually, follow me here on Facebook, follow my Delish Diet page, go to my website, delishdiet.ca, where I'm now putting all my recipes. I'm porting them all over there. Or join one of my programs and get the support. Okay. You're going to actually be exposed to a lot of variety of foods. Probably right now you're eating probably eating similar foods to, yesterday as today. And, there's not a lot of people just don't realize that they're in a way, like they're not getting the experience of variety that they could have in pleasure in their diet, because they're just eating the same foods over and over again. This, by the way, I'll give a little plug to Summerhill Organic Winery here in Kelowna. They make a wine called Baco Noir. It's one of my favorites. Okay. So yeah, there's so many foods right now that you probably don't even know exist that are super healthy and will support you to lose weight, and they're more yummy than what you're eating now anyways. So that's one of the benefits of this approach. So then the next thing is on diets, conventional diets, people tend to feel deprived. Okay. Again, because you can delishify pretty much anything. On the Delish Diet, you do not feel deprived. You feel that you're eating more decadently than you were before. So once you really immerse yourself into this lifestyle and you've set up your kitchen so that you have all the foods on hand and you know where to shop to get treats, because sometimes we need things that are like ready-made, right? We don't always have time to cook. I'll give you an example of something that you could just go right now, if you're a chip person, and get that will replace the chips, so support you on your journey to lose weight, and help you avoid poor quality fats, is to go get the Parmesan crisps at Costco. Okay. You're going to get crunchy. It's a cheesy kind of experience, and it is not going to stimulate very much insulin. Okay, there is of course some carbohydrates in cheese, so you will to some degree, but nothing compared to a potato for goodness sake. Okay, potatoes. So many people think that they don't eat sugar because they are chip people. They like savory snacks. That's just like eating a chocolate bar. Okay, the only time we count carbs on the Delish diet is when we're buying something processed. Okay, I'm so disappointed actually because my kid actually brought home some chips from the whatever Safeway, the kettle cooked kind of chips. And I could have actually looked at the carb count on them, but I already threw it in the garbage. But here's the thing. Here's a little tip for you. Just go find something in your cupboard. If you want to know how much sugar is in it, look at the total carb count, divide it by 5. And some sources will say divide it by 4. So it actually brings the sugar content up. Whatever it is divided by 4 or 5 will be how many teaspoons of sugar are in it. Okay, so just because it's chips and it comes from a potato, which has no added sugar, does not mean that when your body digests it, that it's not sugar. Okay, because these carbohydrates, they break down into sugar once your body has digested it, right? So I used to be like that. I used to think, well, I don't really like sweet stuff, so this doesn't even make sense why I'm suddenly obese. I don't even eat sweet stuff, okay? But, I was eating a lot of things that have, that don't have added sugar in them, but are naturally high in sugar. And when you have insulin resistance, which you do if you're overweight, you will actually just have that turn to fat. So if you're eating quinoa and potatoes and rice and whole grains and all of these different things, lentils and all legumes, lentils, beans, you will have a really difficult time losing weight. That's what my diet primarily was when I was obese. It was literally almost 100% vegetarian, and it was those foods, things we consider healthy, sourdough bread and yams, potato, all the stuff I just said, full of sugar, okay? If you don't have insulin resistance, you're gonna be able to tolerate those things. But unfortunately, most people in this society are moving towards insulin resistance. That's why so many people are overweight in North America and all over the world, right? This doesn't apply to you if you are, perfectly healthy and you don't have a weight problem, you don't have digestive problems, then you don't have to worry about, these foods are not bad for people. It's just that so many people have this problem, they don't know they have it. I actually was getting my nails done and I was looking at, a screen at the salon where there was all these commercials coming on. And there was one from the Diabetes Association of Canada. And they basically, based on their statistics, 1 in 3 people in Canada are pre-diabetic. 1 in 3, wow. That means I've got 1,600 Facebook friends right now. A lot of them, I don't even know. Let's see. I'm not like a human calculator. So let's see how many people potentially of my friends on Facebook divided by 3 have insulin resistance. 533. Okay. That's a lot. And a lot of those people, they're not all overweight. You can have insulin resistance and be thin. It manifests in different ways. But yeah, it's a problem. So, okay, no, that's not important. Okay. So anyways, where was I going with that? You are going to be eating more decadently than ever. You're just not going to be eating foods that are naturally high in sugar, even though there's like the added sugar, right? There's like, what people usually do is they go through this thing. They're like, they find out that white sugar is not good for them. So they take out the white sugar and then they add in all the maple syrup and the unrefined cane sugar and all this kind of thing. And the honey, it's not bad. It's better than white sugar. But if you have insulin resistance, your body doesn't care if it's maple syrup or white sugar. Okay. It's still going to cause you to be resistant to losing weight because you're constantly stimulating insulin. It also doesn't care if it's a cup of quinoa. So that's something to know. And that was one of the big things. And that's why actually the last point that I have here on the list, and I'm only like halfway through, is that the Delish diet is based on human physiology. So we're looking at, what's going on in your body that could be an imbalance that's causing you to be hold on to weight or causing you to have cravings that make you do things and have habits that cause you to gain weight. And we get you healthy, and as a good side effect of that, you lose weight. Whereas conventional diets, they're based on complicated methodologies where you have to count and restrict and portion control and do these things inside of a box perfectly to get the results. And then you don't know what to do after, because you know that you're not going to do that for the rest of your life. So then you go back to your old ways, and then you just end up back where you started, and often in a worse state than you were before. Okay, so let's go into the next point, which is conventional diets are restrictive and the Delish diet is expansive. So we're always looking at, how can we include more? How can we make what we already love better, rather than, being stuck in these really specific guidelines that, you just have to stay inside of them forever. And there is no variety and there is no flexibility. Okay. The next part is that a lot of conventional diets include processed food. Now, along with all this portion control and feeling restricted and starving and counting all these things, and then you add processed food to the equation. So now the food that you're eating, the very restricted amounts of food you're eating, don't even have the ultimate amount of nutrition that they had when they were found in nature. That's even more cause of the experience of your body is starving. You may not feel like you're starving because you're eating food, but your cells are starving for nutrients because they're being displaced by the foods being processed. We don't have processed foods on the Delish diet. You want to eat whole foods. So we want those foods to be what's considered natural, something that, comes off of a tree, grows out of the ground, etc., as natural as possible. Now, I want to speak to the thing with erythritol, because technically, sugar from corn is not really what humans would have, right? Like, yeah, you can take a cane stalk, cut it, suck the juice out of it. You get like a concentrated source of sugar. With the erythritol being based off of corn, it's not really doesn't fit my exact perfection idea of natural. However, I am also a realist, and I do want people to be able to do what they desire in moderation and still be able to get the results. Because if there was no treats allowed on this program, because I was super, religious about everything being natural, then it wouldn't be doable for the long term. So it's not perfect, but it's way better than sugar. Okay, even though sugar is technically natural, it's the impact on your body, on your blood sugar, on the fact that sugar feeds candida yeast and bad bacteria in your body, and the erythritol doesn't, and just the impact of your body being able to take in the nutrition without having that blood sugar spike makes it, to me, the lesser of two evils. Okay, and like I mentioned earlier, what happens with my clients is at first they eat a ton of it because they are just I need to I just want those to fill in the gaps for all those treats that I want to eat. But it just becomes less and less over time. Okay, so it's kind of it just allows you to have those treats without having to restrict yourself so that you can actually stay on the program. Whereas, a lot of people, what they do is they get into this black or white thing, either or, perfection, and totally throw the baby out with the bathwater. And then, you can't stick to these intensive, perfection diets that are out there that are perfectly natural. And then overall, you're not moving towards health because you keep going into these extremes of eating perfect, of eating crap, eating perfect, eating crap. Okay. I know this not only from just being a human, but from working with clients and also all of my students that I worked with over the years at the Canadian School of Natural Nutrition. Okay. There's this tendency to go either or, and you don't need to do that. Okay. The only time you need to be extreme is when, you've been doing moderation too long in moderation and you're not well and you need to go extreme on a therapeutic diet. But you're not coming to the Delish diet because you're in that dire strait, place of ill health. You're coming here to improve your health and lose weight. Okay. So we don't act like sick people, and we give ourselves permission to not be perfect so that we can have the overall goal, which is to be healthier. Because if you have insulin resistance and you say, oh, well, cane sugar is more natural than erythritol, then you're 5 years from now, your insulin resistance could be diabetes, even though you're eating natural cane sugar. Okay, so whereas the erythritol will help you wean yourself off of wanting sugar. So that is why I include it in this program. And it works. It really does help people get off of sugar cravings. And then over time, it just becomes a treat you have every once in a while. And like I said earlier, if you have digestive issues or a corn allergy, then you should probably not have, well, if you have a corn allergy, you should not have erythritol at all. If you have digestive issues, then you might not be able to have as much, and your stomach will tell you it doesn't hurt, but you just feel this weird sensation in your gut. That's all. But for most people, they don't experience that unless they consume too much of it. So just be moderate about it. All right, moving on to the next thing. Okay, usually with conventional diets, there's some sort of shakes, pills, or protein bars or something that you have to buy. Again, this goes into the idea of processed foods that are don't have their natural nutrition ratio in them, right? So you're displacing nutrition, and then you have to buy all these products, right? And usually they don't taste that good. And I mean, the protein bars, they're chalky and gross texture and dehydrating. And to me, they smell like pig barn. I don't know why. Just yuck. Anyways, that's my experience of them. In the Delish diet, you do not have to take supplements. You do not have to take shakes and protein bars. You can, right? Like you may need to if you have certain health imbalances to use supplements to get yourself back into balance, but it's not a requirement. Like for example, the ketogenic diet would be a requirement. You need to supplement when you're on that diet, which is one of the reasons why it's not natural. If you have to supplement on a diet for it to be healthy, that means it's not it's not a natural healthy diet. It's a great therapeutic diet. Okay. The ketogenic diet was developed for children with epilepsy, stop seizures. It was not meant to be a weight loss diet. It's not meant to be forever. Now, we have this system in our body that allows us to go into a ketogenic state. That's to deal with times of like famine, okay? Or times of restricted food because of how our access to food changes throughout the seasons. It's not meant to be like your whole entire life to be eating like that, okay? Unless you're gonna do it like really conscientiously and you're gonna supplement, then, by all means, and then you should be working with somebody who can show you how to do that in a really healthy way. But that's not what we do on the Delish diet. We can use actually the ketogenic diet as a great option for a therapeutic diet for some of those issues to do with, say, for example, the gut, or if you've hit a plateau and you're just impatient and you want to get some results quicker, you can use it. But again, I don't personally think it's a long-term lifestyle approach. Okay, so here's another one that's super different. So most diet programs would encourage you or even tell you that you have to exercise if you want to lose weight. And then that's a big part of it. That's not a big part of it with the Delish diet. You do not have to exercise to lose weight. In fact, I recommend, especially if you're super overweight, that you don't exercise very hard, that your exercise be simple things like walking, swimming, yoga, things that are more gentle on your joints. Because you have the extra weight. You shouldn't be running and jumping all around unless you have amazing joints and for whatever reason your body can handle it. I know when I was like 176 pounds on my frame, no, that wasn't gonna work. Okay, that hurts. So anyways, I don't go for that. And it doesn't cause you to lose weight. Okay, it can be something that can stimulate you to get past a plateau and actually improve your blood sugar balance. So in those ways it does, and because it builds testosterone, if you're weightlifting, that will actually help you to lose weight because low testosterone, you're gonna have a slow thyroid, okay? And that's one of the reasons why people gain weight as they age is because they lose their muscle mass, right? So yes, it does help with weight loss. However, when people are obese or very overweight and been eating foods that are not working for their body and they're in a state of hypoglycemia and energy issues and joint pain and all these things, oh my gosh, you're not going to want to lose weight. Or you're going to want to lose weight, yes, but you're not going to want to exercise. And so I'm just not even going there, okay? You don't have to worry about it. Just go for walks. Like I said, keep it simple. Focus on the diet. That's what's going to make the difference. Then once you're closer to your ideal weight and you feel stronger because you're not carrying so much weight and you actually feel like you can carry your own body, you actually will naturally start to feel more compelled towards exercise. Again, change the physiology on the inside and you'll start changing, your habits will start changing. You'll start going for things that are actually good for you. So, maybe you don't want to exercise now or go hiking, but once you lose 40 pounds or 50 pounds or 60 pounds, now hiking is fun. right? But you don't have to push yourself and tell yourself it's like this have to thing that you have to do. It's what you eat that's going to make the biggest difference for weight loss. Okay, going down next. Okay, so food focused. Conventional diets are food focused. A true dieta, which the Delish Diet is actually lifestyle focused. So, I could tell you right now to eat in a certain way, but if you do not change your perspective, you will just not stick with it, right? Like you have to adopt different values and adopt this idea of a new lifestyle. So you have to actually make changes in your environment, like what you're surrounded by, the people you're surrounded by. Okay, you have to change your values. Okay, if you value watching TV all day instead of cooking, well then that's the results you get in life, right? Is a reflection of your values. But if you value cooking and you value whole foods and you value quality foods and you value, supporting like local businesses, for example, that make really good quality food versus valuing saving money and giving money to corporations that don't always do good things on the planet towards people and animals and the actual earth. Because of those values, you're going to just be fighting against making the right choices. But if you become someone who adopts a new lifestyle, you change what you bring into your home, you change, where you shop, etc. You just start to naturally do the right things, right? So, we don't focus on the food so much. We get, we understand it. Once, say, for example, you were to, go to my website or go to my Delish Diet Facebook page. There's lots of videos there. I do lots of trainings on mindset. It's all free. Or, you upgrade to one of my courses, the e-course, the group coaching program, etc. Yeah, I'm going to give you all the things you need to know intellectually about food. But then after that, what actually gets you the results is that you change your mindset and your lifestyle so you can maintain it, right? So we're lifestyle focused. Once you get the lifestyle in place, you don't have to focus about the details about the food anymore because you just naturally do the right things because you've changed your values, okay? And you've changed the environment so it supports your goals. And this is why you don't have to use willpower once you instate that, right? Whereas your diet mentality, conventional diets, because it's going against all of your natural drives and it's not actually changing how your body isn't on the inside. Hey, Haley. Thanks for the heart. So it's really fun actually when I get a heart because I don't know, I just always go into teaching mode and so people just listen. And honestly, I'm totally here to pause and answer your questions as we go along. Anyhow, so conventional diets require willpower, right? Regular diets, that's why we can't stick to them because willpower runs out. Whereas the Delish Diet, we change our lifestyle, we change our values, and they naturally inform new habits. So we don't have to constantly be thinking about this all the time. All right, so moving on to the next point. Usually conventional diets do not have an emotional or spiritual component to them. With the Delish Diet, because even if we keep it to the physical stuff, there still is an emotional and spiritual component to it. It's like if you watch the beginning of this, I mentioned what was going on in my life that was causing me to have chronic stress that basically triggered the weight gain and insulin resistance, and it's high cortisol. Okay, so anytime you have chronic stresses that you're not addressing in your life, you're going to be stimulating high cortisol. That's going to be stimulating insulin. That's going to be causing you to not be able to go into fat burning mode. So we can do all these food things, yes, and lifestyle things, but you also want to look at all the areas of your life that you are losing energy. So these are chronic stresses that are draining you and causing you to be in fight or flight and stress mode all the time. So that's, beyond lifestyle into, the emotional things in your life and, the spiritual things. Another aspect that we go into is looking at the metaphysical cause of a blood sugar imbalance. And with the metaphysical counterpart to diabetes, which is an extreme of a blood sugar imbalance, is grief, right? So where are you experiencing grief in your life that is unhealed, that is still expressing itself? When I look back at some of the videos of myself when I was 36 years old, I was literally in this place where I was making like these extravagant whole food meals 3 times a day, totally unappreciated. And I was walking around my kitchen, and I like, not only was I walking slowly, but I was like hunched over, and I was sighing, like, right? Which is a sign of grief. Okay. I love cooking whole food meals. Okay. But I like cooking whole food meals in a context in which they are appreciated. Okay. The root cause of that was a relationship issue. It's not about the food, right? You have to go deeper. There's so many things that we think are about food, but they're not. So in this program, we look at dropping everything that's draining you, and that includes chronic stress. And looking into your past to see what is emotional weight that you're carrying into your future that you need to actually address and release, because all emotions come up to be released, not to be suppressed. Okay, I just was listening to this woman. I wish I could remember her name. She does hypnosis, and like she's like a Hollywood hypnosis woman. She's at Mind Valley, and she was saying to somebody, she was telling a story about how she was helping this person who was depressed, and she was like, "You are not depressed. You are suppressed and repressed." Okay. That is such a powerful statement. So if you're depressed, maybe you're not depressed. Maybe you're repressed and suppressed. So what's being repressed? Negative emotions and self-expression being suppressed. Are you not able to be the fullness of who you are in the environment you live, whether it's with your spouse, with your work that you do in the world, with your family? You know, that not being able to be fully self-expressed will cause grief. You're not living your life that you're meant to live here on the planet, right? So of course you're depressed. Okay, another issue, right? We go into these things. It's so important because you don't want to just lose the physical weight. You know, you can do that, but if you also look into the bigger picture of your life and you let go of the emotional weight as well, and you step into the life you're meant to be living, then you don't just get skinny in the process, you actually transform your life. And that is really what makes me the most passionate to work with people. Okay. I like teaching nutrition. Let's face it. I've been doing that for a long time. However, what really lights me up is seeing people really transform their lives and admit to themselves what they really want and deal with what they need to deal with that's standing in the way and go get it. That's, to me, much more exciting. Anyhow, so if that resonates with you, you should message me, because you would be an ideal client and an ideal person for the upcoming program that I have going on. It's the Delish Diet group coaching program. I'll post about it after. Okay, so the next part is, with conventional diets, you lose the weight fast, right? But it comes back even faster, right? That's what happens. People lose weight fast, and then they gain it back and more, even faster than they lost it. Okay. The Delish diet is the opposite of that. This is the hardest part. This is the hardest part. As a nutritionist, for me to keep people engaged with their process is the fact that unless you're doing a cleanse, and like I said, we do have one in the Delish Diet program. So if you do want to lose weight fast in a healthy way, there is a way to get those first 15 pounds off without hurting yourself and actually doing something to bring your health up. But if you're not willing to do that, the actual way that people lose weight, if they're going to have permanent results, is actually slow in the beginning. Slow in the beginning. And then the more close you get to your ideal weight, the faster the pace picks up. And then the closer you are to your ideal weight, the faster it comes off, right? Like, it's totally the opposite of what conventional diets do, which is how you know it works, right? Like, you cannot do the same thing over and over and expect different results. So the actual process of weight loss is totally different when you're losing it permanently. So actually, if you're on that path right now, you're eating healthy and you're slowly losing weight, whatever approach you're using, just be comforted to know that as long as you're moving in the right direction, you're on the right path. And you just have to be patient, and you will get there. And plateaus are natural physiology. That is what happens. Your body can't just suddenly lose weight without stopping to recalibrate everything else to match that weight, right? It's like a thermostat, right? Like it's always trying to get back to normal, right? So it's going to resist weight loss because it's going to have to change a whole bunch of other aspects of how your physiology is functioning. So in my experience, it's about every 5 pounds. Okay, annoying, that may be true, but at the end of the day, the weight loss that you do get when you get past that plateau is sticky, right? It's not just boom back to your old weight. So it helps you get to a place where it's not as easy to gain weight because you've actually changed your set point. Okay, so the conventional diets, another problem with them is they're not sustainable, right? Because if you have to follow a strict plan, you have to be a mathematician to eat healthy or lose weight. It's boring, restrictive, you feel deprived, you have to buy all these special shakes and stuff. You have to exercise, life gets lifey, right? And you have to use willpower, well, then you're not going to sustain it, right? Whereas with the Delish diet, it's totally sustainable. There's solutions built in for every problem that you will face, every challenge that you will need to overcome. There's lots of leeway and flexibility. You can find ways to have sweet, rich, creamy comfort foods. So what you want to emotionally eat. I'll show you what to eat while you're emotionally eating. That will not cause you to gain weight. It will also not make you feel terrible. So then you don't have to beat yourself up after, right? Everything in life that we tell ourselves we can't do or can't have, we have something inside of us called counterwill. And that counterwill will make you just want what you can't have or what you're not supposed to have or what somebody tells you can't have. So we look for ways to make it possible for you to just have what you want so that we're not triggering that inside of you, which is why, for example, I include the erythritol, even though it's not perfectly natural in the program. Okay, it's way better than like having some sort of artificial sweetener that is, wrecking your nervous system and, toxic, right? It's the better of the two. So, with the Delish diet, there's ways of having what you desire, and it's actually sustainable for the long term because really there's pretty much nothing that you can't delishify. And I'm sure as time goes on, there's just going to be more and more people developing recipes. So, because here's one of the things with the Delish diet, because we're not counting anything and because we have this eat up day, we definitely don't go into that ketogenic state. However, any keto recipe or any low carb recipe that you can find on the internet that does not have processed foods in it, right? Just be aware, because some people are doing these low carb and ketogenic diets with these artificial sweeteners and these processed foods. That is so not healthy. As long as it's a natural whole food, you can use that recipe and just add some extra vegetables on it if your body tells you need more carbs or more minerals in your diet. Intuitively, you'll just know to add that. So it's not complicated, and there's so many different recipes and things that are available that it is sustainable for the long term, and you'll never get bored of it. And then that was going to be the second last, but I had already covered the other conventional versus Delish diet, which was based on, and I'll just repeat it again. So conventional diets based on complicated methodologies. The Delish diet is based on human physiology, what it actually takes to lose weight permanently in a sustainable way that is based on how the human body works on the inside. So, it's invisible, right? Like we don't always know what's going on in our body, but our body has symptoms. The symptoms that we experience are our body speaking to us. So weight gain or stubborn weight gain that we can't seem to lose is our body trying to tell us something. So, on that level, we're looking at weight loss as an opportunity to hear what our body's saying. But if you don't need to lose weight, but you have all these other symptoms, again, instead of just thinking, well, I'm just going to go to the doctor and get it cut out, or I'm just going to go take a drug to suppress it so I can't feel it anymore and push it down deeper so then other problems, sprout up. It's like taking a weed and going, oh, wow, I'm just going to push it under the soil and put the soil on top and hope it doesn't come back, right? Not going to work. So we want to really look at the root causes of weight gain and deal with them on all levels. So it's diet, lifestyle, and also looking at the emotional weight and looking at how we can transform our life in the process so that we can, live our life at our fullest capacity. Okay, so that's it. It's really not about, attaining a specific weight, looking a certain way. Okay, it's not about that. It's really about you feeling healthy and obtaining the optimal expression of your own body and health, right? So, it's like I said, because it's different for everyone, we all have different goals. A lot of people I talk to have certain weights in mind that they think they can achieve rather than actually having a picture in mind of themselves in the ultimate. Me right now, even though I am at, a normal weight, my focus is more like I would like to actually, because now I'm at a normal weight, I don't have to worry about exercise being hard because of my weight. So my next personal goal is to work on the fitness side of things. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you guys are noticing a lag, but I'm seeing it here. So my goal is to actually firm up, right? And, it's really interesting because what really put me into the place of making a decision is that I decided that I wanted to age in a specific way. Oh, I'm going to actually respond to this comment. And I will tell you this moment of decision moment too. Hey, Barbara. She says, great information. I learn something new each time I hear you speak. Awesome. I'm so happy. And I love sharing this information because it's liberating. I want everybody to know about it. You know how it is, right? Something you do something in your own life and you just want everybody to have that. Well, at least that's how I am. Anyways. Okay. There was this moment when I was at my heaviest weight and I actually sat on that for 9 months. I did not do anything about it because I was like, oh my God, I'm already doing everything perfect, right? I'm eating this whole foods vegetarian diet and I'm obese. So what more can I do, right? That was where I was in my mindset at the time. And I actually thought to myself, maybe I can just accept this. I see, most women over, 50, these cute little grannies, they're all chubby. So I'm going to go there anyway. So, maybe I should just accept it now. And I was weighing that. It was one voice was like, yeah, it's not worth it, right? Just accept it. And then there was the other side of me that was like, but wait a minute. There's all sorts of women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s that are still of a normal, healthy weight. So just because because it's common for people to gain weight as they age, that doesn't mean it's natural or optimal. And I'm the kind of person, I want to stretch myself. I want to be the best that I can be in all areas of my life and grow in that way. So I actually decided at that moment, no, I'm going to be a hot granny. Okay. So I'm going to age and I'm going to be strong and feminine and healthy and active. I'm not going to succumb to my body turning into this box is what it felt like at the time. Right. And I was starting to lose that feminine shape, right? My curves were going away and it was more boxy. And this is an interesting thing, right? In our society, when people have hormonal imbalances and they gain weight, and this happens to men and women, they get less testosterone and their body becomes more feminine because it starts getting curvy, right? They get boobies and they get the belly, right? The beer belly. That's estrogen belly, by the way. And then women, they expand out this way and they lose their curves. And interestingly, they start looking similar in their body shape. That's common, definitely common, but it doesn't mean it's natural or normal or optimal. So you get to decide, right? It's not up for me to decide what you want to do, what you want to put your energy into in your life. Maybe you don't want to put your energy into that. But if you were watching this right now, you probably feel like there's something more that you want to take your health to the next level. You want to take your body to the next level. Maybe it's not because of looks as much as it's because there's, you want to be able to run around and chase your grandkids and play with them, or you want to go hiking or whatever it is. You want to go dancing. Okay. What your why is, that's personal. That's for you. So anyhow, that's all I wanted to share with you today. I wanted to take this time to share the difference between a conventional diet versus the Delish Diet And for those of you who want to learn more, I'm going to post underneath this video the different ways that we can work together. And for those of you who are not quite ready for the e-course or the group coaching program, check out my website, delishdiet.ca. I'm posting more and more there. It's a site that I actually just started to build. So it's not finished, but go there. There's some good chocolate recipes there on the blog. And I'm also actually writing the Delish Diet book right now. So I'm soon going to be creating a new list for that so that you can sign up for the Delish Diet book. And I'll be actually delivering the chapters to you as I write them for free. And I will post that under here as well, because I also had somebody ask me about that today. And now I feel inspired, right? Ask me for something and I love to, it actually motivates me to deliver it. So there we have it. Thank you so much for watching, and feel free to ask any questions that you have in the comments if you're watching the replay. Bye for now.